What is up, guys? This is Cody with F is for Fanatic, and we are back at it with the live call in show. You guys want to be on, the link is in the description. If you have problems with it, let me know in the comments below, and we'll get you on here and talk a little college football. So before we get some people on, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. First of all, is um, the expansion and kind of movement of conferences. Uh, it was posted yesterday on Twitter that FSU kind of is wanting out of the ACC. I don't know where they're going to go. I can't imagine that they'll go to the SEC. Uh, I just don't. I don't see it for them doing that. Maybe the Big Ten, but logistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense having to fly up to Maryland and Pennsylvania and all that. I don't see. I don't see why they wouldn't stay in the ACC. I get money, but right now they are the premier school besides Clemson in the ACC. So we know Miami's not. That place is a dumpster fire. So don't worry about them. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that. I don't know if it's kind of a ploy to maybe threaten the ACC so they can get some more money out of the TV contract deals, or maybe stop playing on like Thursday or Friday nights, like high school kids. Uh, So there is that. Maybe they want to be the premier game. Usually it's Clemson for the ACC. So maybe they're threatening they're going to leave just because they want to be the premier game, which you can't blame them. I get it. They play LSU week 1, so that's going to be a night game, and that's going to be kind of premier spotlight for them. So they're loaded up with talent this year. I just can't see them moving from the ACC, but we'll see. Second thing, playoff expansions, 12 teams, and this kind of goes back into into FSU staying in the ACC. Why they should. You can't have all the teams from the SEC making the playoffs, obviously. So there is that. I think they're moving to 12 teams, is what it is. So I don't know. I think it's a better shoe in for them if they stay in the ACC. They can obviously win it or get in with a good record. If they go to the SEC, I think they're gonna get mixed up in the grinder like Florida does, and Kentucky and some of the other teams. Georgia's going to be on top. Bama's going to be on top for a while. So that's one thing. Third thing I wanted to talk about, the new hire, the defensive coordinator, Mr. Armstrong. So I am going to have a complete video on him. It's just going to be dedicated to him and kind of his style. I've been watching some of the Southern Miss games just to see his style of play. It's very aggressive. He likes to run man to man on the outside with his corners. He trusts the corners, and he's bringing heat from somewhere. One of the three linebackers is going to blitz almost every play. So it's kind of nice to see that compared to what we had the past couple previous years with obviously Third and Grantham and then Patrick Toney playing so far off the ball. I never really understood that. So we got that out of the way. If you guys want to call in, go ahead, hit the link, and I'll bring you in here and we can talk whatever you want to talk about college football. Just keep it PG-13. Don't get me kicked off YouTube. I'd appreciate that. So anyway, yeah, the new DC, he runs a 4-3 front, and the defensive line is always doing something. They're always doing a twist or a stunt to open up those gaps for the linebackers. The linebackers have very, very good running back integrity, as in if the running back is going off into the flat or if he's going to stay in to help protect for the quarterback. They seem like they don't blow any coverages really to speak of. And I'm watching the whole game. And the reason I'm doing that is because like the first game I watched was the Liberty game, and the couple scoring drives they had, it was because the offense left them in a bad position, uh, field wise. They were, inside the 30 when they took over. So you kind of got to watch that. Stats don't give you everything, obviously. Stats are black and white, but they don't tell you, hey, they just scored. The reason they scored is because they had the ball inside the 25 because of a fumble or something like that. So I'm keeping all the track of that. I saw a lot of pressure. The first game they had 3 sacks, I believe. So that's something good for Florida fans to hear too, is actually getting to the quarterback and sacking them. Unlike the Florida State game where Jordan Travis had guys hanging off of him and we just couldn't bring him down. Also, the tackling on that team was very, very good. And we've kind of talked about that uh, before on this channel about how the tackling has gotten pretty watered down because they just don't do a whole lot of live tackling anymore just for player safety. And I get it, but they do it in high school, they do it in Pop Warner, and then all of a sudden you get to college and you don't have to live tackle in college for practice. It's just kind of crazy. You can't get good at stuff going half speed or not doing it at all. So there is that. The the one thing I did see that kinda concerned me a little bit, and it's really just kind of a play calling thing, because he blitzes so much, and there is a difference between run blitzes and pass blitzes. He did kinda get eaten up on a couple of run blitzes where, obviously called it to one side and the ball went to the other side. You're gonna have that. That's that's just the nature of the game when you're calling a game. So he got bit on those a couple times, but it's not like Florida and the LSU game where they ran for, the running back didn't have a 100-yard game all year, and then he looked like a Heisman candidate winner, running all over the field for like 400 yards. It wasn't that. It was just something that I saw. Their alignment is always very good. They're always in position. They are always they're always ready for the offense to snap the ball, which is another thing that is kind of nice. The past couple of years, we really haven't been able to get the play in for some reason. I don't understand that, especially under Grantham. I did not get that. You can't get the play in. Like, come on, guys. So that I didn't see really any of that. No penalties that I saw that were. They had one not personal foul, PI call. It was 50-50. It looked like maybe the quarterback got his head around a little late. It was a very, very well thrown ball. Um, the ball was just at a spot to where the receiver kind of stopped in his tracks and the cornerback kind of ran him over. It couldn't get his head around to find the ball. He had both arms out trying to basically shield the wide receiver from getting to the ball, but is what is. I'll take one of those every now and then. It's not that big a deal. No false starts that I saw. So, much improved defense for that Southern Miss defense that obviously we are gonna give him better players um to essentially coach up, which is nice. Southern Miss does not recruit very well. Okay. It's a tough place. That place is really tough to recruit. And here's the reason why. Southern Miss is in Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg has nothing. It's not a giant college campus. There's nothing to do. It's kind of in Podunk, Mississippi. The only thing big there is Brett Favre's mansion. He lives in Hattiesburg. He's an alum from there. So I've been to Hattiesburg 100 times. My family lives down in Mississippi, Louisiana. So here's the problem with Southern Miss is it's kind of like the South Florida of Mississippi. Okay, you have the two predominant schools, Old Miss. You have Mississippi State. They're going to recruit that state very well. You have Louisiana going in there, LSU, going in there and picking kids they want to get out of Mississippi. And Mississippi is not like Florida or Texas. It's not a giant talent wealth. So you're getting what the leftovers of everybody else. Oh, and you got Bama, Bama and Auburn just right next door. They'll they'll come to Mississippi and get a top, if there's a top 50, top 75 player, they'll yank them right out of Mississippi. So it's kind of tough for Southern Miss. Like I said, the campus isn't great, and let me tell you, there's a difference between watching SEC ball and watching like Southern Miss between the camera crew. So I'm watching on YouTube, obviously, but the camera crew for like 30 seconds, I was watching a guy eat popcorn. They got like ESPN has like the JV, like the guys um, that took film in college, and they are essentially like, oh yeah, just get on out there. You get to be on. You get to be on. You get to run the show here for the Southern Miss game. So we got somebody calling in. Let's see who it is. Oh, buddy.
What's up, baby? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, big dog? How you feeling?
Oh, good, man.
I was a little late. What were we talking about? I heard you talking about Ole Miss, LSU.
Yeah, we were kind of just talking about Southern Miss, the defensive coordinator that we're getting. We were kind of talking about that. What are you thinking?
Old Armstrong?
Yeah, he's in Southern Miss. I don't know if you know this, but they're kind of up against it recruiting wise. They have Old Miss there. Lane Train, he's going to get every kid that he wants out of Mississippi. And then you have, obviously, you got Mississippi State there. Alabama's close, Auburn's close, and LSU's going to go and nitpick out of there too. So the talent that he had to kind of coach up and what he did was pretty impressive, if you ask me.
I mean, not to mention Southern Miss is obviously a Tyner school. Like their number one, their best recruit was a 3-star. I mean, I don't know if Lane Train is a good example. He don't recruit, but yeah, I mean he's in a pit for sure. And look, I mean he's gonna have that same issue going to Florida as well. But I think having top 10 stats for sacking, I believe he was. Ty mentioned it yesterday. Again, stats I don't really have too much on, but for having top 10 stats with not premier recruiting classes is definitely something impressive. What was their nickname? Do you know what the nickname was for that defense?
The Nasty Bunch?
Yeah, the Nasty Bunch. I mean, to get a nickname like that, like you said, with the limited amount of talent, and this is what we kind of talked on the show yesterday with recruiting and just stars and what exactly that means. The skill gap from 1 to 250 is there's a gap. Don't get it twisted. But if you can get those guys to understand their system and understand their role and shrink the field, that's definitely important.
Also, too, that the head coach came out last year and said this is not going to be a good defense, guys, before the season.
Southern missed it.
Yeah, he's like, guys, this is not going to be what it was because he kind of for year one he had a pretty good defense, and he was like, year two, I guess they lost some players. They're like, he's like, look, this is kind of, we didn't think it was going to be this good last year, and then they show up again. I mean, the guy just dials it up. The only complaint I have is he missed on a couple run blitzes, but you're going to have that call in a game. You know what I mean? He dialed one up that they ran it to the outside sweep to the left, and he had the blitz coming on to the right. So you're going to have that, though, call in a game. It is what it is.
Sure. No, I'm excited. I think even Ty, who's a Bama fan, he was in agreement that he thinks we got something special just due to, Saban obviously wanted him for a linebacker coach for a reason. So, and I saw a few people thinking that like it was kind of going to be a small transition. He comes in as a middle linebacker coach, and then eventually transitions anyways.
Yeah. Also, too, to just get him out of Alabama anyways kind of shows you, kind of the pull that Billy has, and he's worked for Billy before. So that, again, everybody has said good things about. I mean, I haven't seen one bad thing about Billy Napier yet from a prior coach. They all love him, and to pick him from Alabama, that he's probably getting paid pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the stature of coming from middle linebacker coach to being the DC is is a big pull. Well, right? I mean, you get to go elsewhere and get promoted essentially, and get to showcase your talent. I think he understood going. And again, this is where people were kind of trying to give Patrick Toney and those guys kind of some shit because they're going to Arizona not as a defensive coordinator. I believe he's going as a middle linebacker coach as well
Mm-hmm.
to Arizona. And it's like, oh, he's taking a downgrade. Well, no, you understand. Sometimes you got to take a step back to go work to for the long run, make that longer stride. And I think that's where he was doing when we went to Alabama, understanding like, look, I got to take a step back, go be a middle linebacker, but get underneath Nick Saban, get to see how he operates. But I think he also has to look when Billy reached out, notices, look, I think it's a compliment to what Billy's able to do. I think he respects what Billy can do and understands like I get to go and be a DC still and not have to take a step back. So there's a lot of pressure there too, man. You got to understand these guys are taking risks. Billy was offered the job to be a head coach of South Carolina, I believe. I'm on
Auburn too, I think.
Yeah, he was offered a couple jobs before, but he said no. He wanted to wait, right? He wanted an opportunity to I think either pick the right school or make sure that he was ready. And so I think if Armstrong was underneath Billy, I think he would have the same mindset as my point. So Armstrong taking that role at Florida, it's not. It kind of speaks volumes again into who he is. Not just he's just trying to take the next best thing. He believes he's ready for it, and so that should excite us as well as Florida fans.
Well, and I mean, Billy Napier's hit on all the coaches so far. There hasn't been one coach that's been terrible so far. And it's
funny. I think people would have say otherwise. I think there isn't enough data to sit behind. I don't think there's enough data behind any of them really to say one way or the other. I think there's because again, people are still kind of on the fence of Billy, so it's hard for you know what I mean. So it's hard to really have to take him on anybody.
Well, also too, that defense was bad under Grantham, and it was bad under Patrick Toney. It's not if you're bad under two regimes, it's the mix of players you got. I'm sorry, it just is. I'm not saying there's not guys that are gonna go to an NFL, get into a good scheme, and ball out. I'm not saying that all those guys are trash. All I'm saying is it obviously didn't work in Florida for a reason, under two different regimes.
Yeah, I think
and it was the same stuff. It was blown coverage, not aligning up, not transitioning off players into the zone when they run a zone. It was the same stuff. How many times in the last 3 years have we seen wide receivers streaking across the field wide open? And then sometimes the quarterback missed them and we're like, "Oh God, thank God." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was more of like we got it was more of luck than us making a big stop. Yeah, look, I think to put it on the players, yes and no. I think putting those guys into the right place is a big thing. I think this past year, it's hard to really put the blame on anybody. You've got a new coach coming in with a new scheme with old players from an old scheme, and things maybe not, mesh the right way. So it's hard to tell, man. It's been such a minutia, I feel like, over the last few years that it's hard to really pinpoint like what happened, what came first, like chicken and the egg thought
Yeah.
process, right? Like what was it? Is it the recruiting? Is it the players? Is it the coaching? At this point, nobody knows. I think we're kind of getting in the right direction. I think he's getting the guys that are going to fit his scheme, fit his process, kids that are bought in. So we should hopefully have some more success this year.
Yeah, it's got to be better, right? Can't get much worse.
You say that until it gets.
Yeah, I know it. And then I'm in the Discord screaming.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find some frustrations. Again, yeah, I mean, we have the 6th hardest schedule. I don't know if you saw that came out.
Yeah, that schedule. Well, I don't know if you've seen the schedule for this year.
6th hardest schedule this year.
From basically October to the end of the year is just a grinder. I mean, we have Georgia. It's Georgia, South Carolina, Arkansas's in there, LSU is in there, and then you got to go to Missouri for a noon game. It's going to be cold in November, and then you have FSU to wrap it up. I mean, it's just a gauntlet.
South Carolina has the hardest schedule as well too. I'm assuming they're probably going to play us, Georgia, Bama, I guess, Tennessee. I don't know their outer conference games. Oh, they got Clemson. Yeah, they got a fucking brutal schedule too. So, but it just sucks because obviously everyone's like, oh, you're making excuses for Billy. It's just understanding what we're going through and what we're dealing with right now. We're not in the.
Yeah, we got to go to Utah week 1 at Utah in the elevation.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at it with the Oklahoma fan yesterday on Ty's show because he was trying to say that our outer conference schedule's easy. I was like, well, we got Utah and Florida State are 2 of our outer conference games. So I don't know how that plays out, but
Well, and with Utah, a lot of people are like, oh, well, these guys are elite athletes. It shouldn't, the elevation shouldn't affect them. Well, it's not going to affect the corners. It's not going to affect the linebackers. But you know who it's going to affect? All of Big Dez. Okay.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's going to affect the defensive line, and the game is won in the trenches.
it's gonna. I mean, look, we said it last year about the
humidity and the heat.
humidity. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to train for that. Again, it's more of an endurance thing because your shortness of breath. But the wide receivers are going to feel it. Recovery time is going to be a little bit slower just because you are getting the air is getting sucked out of you. But it's easy. It's a little bit easier to replenish. Again, what I kept saying about the humidity. It's not about being hydrated or practicing in the heat. It's when it sucks the hydration out of you. You don't really realize it until it's too late and you're cramping up.
Yeah.
For the air, you can kind of feel it pretty quickly and you can hit the oxygen tape. So it's a little bit, you can supplement it a little bit easier, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a factor. People who are going to claim that's not, it is. I mean, if you train in both, the same reason why I claim for the humidity being a factor, that's going to be a factor as well.
Yeah, I remember that Kentucky game I went to. We were wet the entire time. I mean, it was hot. It was muggy. It rained.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
the sun came out. Oh my God, it was miserable.
Yeah, you're from up north. You don't really feel it that much.
No.
Yeah, it's miserable, especially when it rains, dude. So you can't even breathe. You just feel like it sucks just punches you in the chest. Like
and then you get that stadium packed with 90,000 fans, and it's hot. The lights are on. All that stuff just adds heat in that place. And we were lower level. I mean,
that was a night game too, right?
Yeah, it was a night game.
Yeah.
But man, you talk about if it was noon,
that's not
wouldn't have made it.
Something fun to go watch.
Yeah, it's not. That's why LSU does a lot of night games too. It's miserable down there.
Oh yeah, killing your people, your own people.
What games you going to this year?
I honestly don't know it, man. I gotta get that figured out. Utah obviously is a big one on the list. Florida State probably just because it's in Gainesville. Going to the games to me is not as appealing as people may think it is. I enjoy watching it like we do and being able to stream it and being in my comfortable home. You see the game better. Obviously, going into the Swamp is something special and being able there, especially if winning at the Swamp is something special. But I don't know, I like being around my friends and family during the games. That's kind of something I've always done. So what I mean by going to the games, I'll probably go and tailgate and make content and go live and do that stuff. That stuff I eat up and then leave like I did last year. Like honestly, I going to my aunt and uncle's house and being with them and watching the game with them was a blast, and just tailgate beforehand with everybody, like that was kind of like the ideal situation. So
yeah, and it's close, right?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes from the house. There's no traffic when we're leaving, right? Because everybody's coming in. So
yeah,
we'll see. I know a lot of people wanted to go with us last year, and I got asked almost. I got tickets almost every game, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like I remember back when I was growing up, like trying to get tickets to a Gator game was fighting tooth and nail to get them. And then this year, always wanting to go, and we got a ticket almost every game. People are like, "Hey, I got a ticket. You want it?" And it's like, no, I can't.
All right, we got Pablo waiting in here.
I can drop.
I don't want to take up too much of your time either.
Yep,
you're always grinding. So, hey, I appreciate you. That's Shelton from High Top Sports. That's podcast royalty right there. So, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, buddy. Later, bud.
All right, later. Pablo, how are you?
Nigger.
Okay. Can't have that. Sorry about that, guys. I can't believe that just happened. So that's pretty embarrassing for somebody to come on and do. That's frustrating. Anyway, so we got a couple people watching. If you want to come on, just drop in the link and we'll get you on. Next, I'm going to start talking about a little bit about Mertz and why I think he works really well at Florida. Sorry guys, that I can't believe that happened. So if anybody has watched any game film on Mertz and actually watched the whole game, you could tell that Wisconsin was not a good team. Bad offensive line, no weapons. Yeah, they had the running back Allen, 19-year-old kid, but they ran him into the ground. He was getting 35 touches a game. There was just no offensive play calling ability to where they were mixing it up. And that really hurts a quarterback when you run the ball 15 times and then all of a sudden, it's 3rd and long and you're asking them to pass with no real great wide receivers. They had one good tight end 2 years ago. He went to the draft and they never replaced him. Paul Chryst gets fired in the middle of the season. I think Mertz has had like 3 different quarterback coaches also, so that makes a difference. So there is that. Also, I think he's going to work out well under Billy's scheme. He's not a statue back there. What people say, he can run the ball. I saw him scramble several times and pick up first downs. Now he's not Anthony Richardson. He's not going to rip off a 70-yarder. That's just not him. That's not his athletic ability. He's got beautiful touch on the ball. He can drop it in the bucket. He can make any pass. So, and it's got to work for him. If it doesn't work, he's going to be essentially selling insurance. This move to Florida is going to save his career in NFL draft stock. So, because he has no draft stock now. I mean, he's not even unfortunately a guy that you pick up for the practice squad because he just doesn't have any really great consistent game film. But you do see the flashes there where he drops one in the bucket and the ball comes off his hand nicely. So I think he really works out. Plus, we got the two backs in ETN and Montrell Johnson. They'll be 1,000-yard backs this year, so that takes a lot of pressure off of him. He bootlegs out well for play action. He's very accurate. He's got Ricky Pearsall as a weapon in the slot, and he's not gonna break Pearsall's hands with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball like AR was doing last year. So Pearsall, he'll come back healthy. I guess he was dealing with a nagging injury I saw during his interview a couple weeks ago with High Top. He had a boot on, I believe. So he said he's going to be 100% ready to go, which he wasn't last year. So I can't wait to see Pearsall 100% behind a guy that can get him the ball in the slant better than what Richardson did. Also, I think he reads the defense a little bit better than what Anthony does. I think he just has more game experience than what Anthony does. It's one of those things where reading a defense, it comes just in game experience. There's some things that you have to. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Dogs were going haywire. Anyway, so where was I at? Oh, Mertz. So we I think it works out better with Mertz. Mertz has 2 years of eligibility also, so there is that. We will. I think it's a good buffer for Lagway. You don't want to push Lagway in right away, so it's a good transition guy. He's got experience. He's won some games. He's lost some games. He's made great throws. He's made bad throws. But his flashes are really nice when it does show up on the field. Also, he was affected by COVID. He was out for like I think 5 weeks or 6 weeks. He had long haulers COVID, and it really the season before that it really affected him bad. So he kind of really kind of just never recovered that season fully. So there is that. Which I mean, there's athletes that have had that problem even in the NFL. So it affects everybody differently. Next topic we're going to go to is wide receiver coach. Obviously, ours goes to the NFL. And so there's been mumblings about a couple guys. I think that we got to get a guy in that position. I kind of don't want a super young guy. I want a guy that has recruited well already there. Maybe a guy that from like a past Ohio State stop where they've proven to have elite wide receivers or something like that. That is a coach that I kind of want a little bit experience. And Billy's gotten young on a lot of guys, except for the cornerback coach, Raymond, who's actually taken over the whole DB room. He's taken over cornerback and safety, which I like that because he's a heck of a DB coach. But yeah, for a wide receiver coach, I want a guy that's done it already and has a proven record. I kind of don't want a guy that's fresh. You can't have all young guys on a coaching roster. You gotta have a nice little mixed bag there. So also with that being said, Billy is a proven wide receiver coach himself. So, he definitely, I know he's got his hand on everything, which can sometimes be bad. But I think he'll get a guy. He's proven that all of his coaching hires have been good so far. So I expect a hire coming soon. I mean, within this week, I would assume, just with recruiting and after spring practice is right around the corner. You got to have a wide receiver coach by then. So I think Monday something will pop. We'll have somebody, if not later today or Sunday. But yeah, I expect it coming soon. So, and I expect it to be a good hire. Billy's shown if that's one thing he can do is he can hire some pretty good coaches. If nobody wants to call in, we're going to wrap this thing up here in about 5 minutes. If you want to call in and we can talk, it doesn't have to be Florida ball. We can talk FSU or whoever, Miami. It don't matter. Oklahoma. I don't care. I'm just a college football junkie. So, we'll have a 5 minute. If nobody calls in, we'll end this thing. And, I don't want to keep you guys on too long. See, we got a couple people that are watching right now. So yeah, go ahead, call in, and we'll chit chat some college football. Another thing I was kind of looking at, tight end coach. There really hasn't been any rumblings on that. It's kind of surprising too. With recruiting and spring practice, you got to have a tight end coach. I kind of see like a dual hire same day type deal where Billy's just going to get two guys at the same time and just end it in the coaching searches. Then I haven't heard any rumblings on tight end coach. There's been more rumblings on wide receiver coach, and it's kind of surprising because when Patrick Toney left, we had Armstrong lined up. It was like instantly. It was like Patrick Toney left. Okay, we have our guy already. Within I think 30 minutes of him, Patrick Toney saying that he was going to leave, we already had the announcement that Armstrong was leaving Alabama. But it's not odd, But it's one of those things where, it's we really haven't heard anything um, from the wide receiver and tight end vacancies. So I'm sure Billy's got something cooking, but we'll see there. Let's see. So I think that's gonna do it. If anybody wants to call in, it's kind of last chance here, last call. So I've kind of ran through my topics. If you guys want to call in, we'll get you on. If not, then we'll end this thing in about a minute. I appreciate everybody that watched today. I appreciate Shelton from High Top coming on and talking with me. That guy's busy all the time. He never stops. So just getting 5 minutes of his time is a blessing for us in this channel. So, like I said, I did a facelift of the channel, so you don't have to watch the ugly StreamYard logos. So tell me what you guys think about that. If you like it, if it's too much, if I need to cut some stuff out of the banner here, let me know. And please always like, subscribe, like always, comment. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Even if you don't like something, leave a comment, because we're pretty new at this. This channel's only been going for about 3 weeks. We hit 1,200 views this last week, so that's a pretty big thing for us. Being so new, 1,200 views is big. Plus, we have views on Twitter too. I'm gonna start leaning off that a little bit and trying to get people to come to YouTube. But there's that. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate everybody coming on, and thanks for coming on. And I apologize for what happened with Pablo. He just private messaged me, "Go Bulldogs." I mean, I don't understand why you would do that. Like, if you have any sense to come on here and do that, like, for real, like, you can't respect what that I'm out here grinding. You have to come on here and do some shit like that. So that it's bullshit. So don't worry, is what it is. Karma's a real pain in the ass. So we'll see you later on that. All right, like, subscribe, as always. Thanks. We'll see you later.